something reached across the desert and whispered your name. You felt it, that loosening in your chest. That feeling that the rules didn't apply anymore. But here's what nobody told you when those lights hit your eyes. Every single thing you are feeling right now was engineered, designed, tested, refined over 90 years by some of the most ruthless minds this country has ever produced. You are not a guest in Las Vegas. You are the product. And the machine has been waiting for you. To understand what Las Vegas truly is, you have to go back before the neon, before the casinos, the showgirls, the spectacle. You have to go back to the desert itself. Barren, alkaline, indifferent. A stretch of southern Nevada that nobody in their right mind wanted. The Paiute people had lived with this land for centuries, understanding its brutality, respecting its terms. Then the railroad came, a small, dusty town blinked into existence, and Las Vegas, Spanish for the meadows, became a stop on the way to somewhere else. A few thousand people baking in the heat, largely forgotten. Nothing about it suggested destiny. Then the country broke. The Great Depression arrived like a death sentence on the American dream. By 1931, a quarter of the working population had nothing. Men who had built things, believed in honest labor, found themselves hollow-eyed in bread lines, asking questions that had no answers. The federal government was desperate for anything that looked like economic activity. And in the Nevada state legislature, a small group of unsentimental men arrived at a conclusion the rest of the country found either visionary or depraved. They legalized gambling. On March 19, 1931, Governor Fred Balzar signed Assembly Bill 98 into law. Nevada became the only state in the Union where you could legally sit at a card table and bet your paycheck. The reasoning was blunt. If people were going to gamble anyway, and they were in back rooms across every city in America, Nevada might as well collect the taxes. The state also cut its divorce residency requirement to 6 weeks, making it a destination for unhappy marriages from across the country. Nevada had decided to sell two things, the chance to win and the chance to leave. But gambling alone doesn't build a city. It takes water, power, concrete, and steel. 30 miles away, in a canyon on the Colorado River, the Boulder Dam was rising, later renamed Hoover Dam, built by an army of workers who would never see the inside of a casino. Thousands of laborers flooded the region, and on their days off, they needed somewhere to spend their wages. Las Vegas was ready. Sawdust floors, raw whiskey, card tables, nothing glamorous, but the seed had been planted in scorched earth, and something was already beginning to grow. The war years poured infrastructure into the American West. Bases were constructed across Nevada, the highway brought more people through, and in the years after the war ended, something else began moving toward the desert, something that had been operating in the shadows of American life for decades. The organized crime networks that had built empires running illegal alcohol during Prohibition understood one thing with crystalline clarity: control the venue, and you control everything. His name was Benjamin Siegel. History remembers him as Bugsy, though no one who valued their teeth called him that to his face. He was charming and terrifying in equal measure, a man of genuine vision and genuine brutality. When he looked at the highway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, he saw a palace, a resort, a place where wealthy Americans would drive through the desert, sleep in luxury, eat in style, and leave their money behind. His partners in New York and Chicago, Lansky, Luciano, Costello, were skeptical. But Siegel was relentless, and eventually the money began to flow. The Flamingo opened on December 26, 1946. It was a disaster. Rain, missing celebrities, a gaming floor that hemorrhaged money, construction grotesquely over budget. Back east, the men who had invested were running arithmetic, and the arithmetic kept returning the same answer. On the evening of June 20th, 1947, Siegel was sitting in his girlfriend's living room in Beverly Hills, reading the newspaper. Someone outside raised a rifle. 9 shots. He was 41 years old. Before his body was cold, 3 men from the Chicago outfit walked into the Flamingo and announced they were the new management. This is the moment Las Vegas was truly born. The mob era that followed was one of the most extraordinary episodes in American business history. Chicago, Cleveland, Kansas City, New York. Each family claimed a piece of the Desert Inn, the Sands, the Riviera, the Tropicana. Each property was a masterpiece of money laundering, a legitimate business wrapped around an illegitimate core. The skimming operation, cash removed from counting rooms before it was reported, shipped in suitcases to mob leadership across the country, funded everything from real estate to political campaigns. And yet the city thrived. Because whatever else you say about mob management of Las Vegas, they understood hospitality. Sinatra performed at the Sands, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. The food was extraordinary, the service attentive. If you were connected, Las Vegas in the 1950s and 60s was the most exciting place in the world to be alive. But no empire lasts. Robert Kennedy made organized crime a personal crusade. The IRS followed money trails into Nevada counting rooms. One by one, the men who had built the Strip began to fall. And into that vacuum stepped a force that was in many ways far more powerful, far more permanent, and far more dangerous than anything Siegel had imagined. Corporate America arrived in the Nevada desert, and it came wearing a suit. Howard Hughes pointed the way. The eccentric billionaire moved into the Desert Inn in 1966, refused to leave, and eventually bought it. His acquisitions established the legal framework for corporate casino ownership, and once that door opened, the implications were staggering. Steve Wynn opened the Mirage in 1989 and changed everything again. A volcano out front, white tigers inside, tropical plants that had no business existing in the Mojave. The message was unmistakable. Las Vegas was no longer selling gambling. It was selling an experience so total, so relentlessly stimulating, that gambling was just one component of a much larger machine designed to keep you inside, keep you spending, and keep you from ever wanting to leave. Wall Street watched the revenue numbers and understood this was not a vice industry. It was an entertainment industry, a hospitality industry, one of the most reliable, cash-generating enterprises in the history of American commerce. So here you are, you've crossed the desert, you've seen the skyline rise from nothing like a fever dream that somehow solidified and learned to charge admission. The air hits you when the doors open, cool, climate-controlled, faintly scented, utterly divorced from the brutal heat waiting 30 feet behind you. The sounds wash over you. The lights pull at your attention. Somewhere in this building, a team of people who have spent their careers studying human psychology have made thousands of decisions about color temperature, carpet patterns, the placement of exits you'll never find easily. All of them pointing in the same direction. Toward the floor, toward the machines, toward the feeling that you just might be the one person this city decided to reward. The house edge is not a secret. It never was. The casinos will tell you about it if you ask. They don't need to hide the mathematics. The mathematics doesn't require concealment. It requires only patience. And Las Vegas has infinite patience because Las Vegas is not a person. It does not get tired. It does not get nervous. It does not lie awake at 3 a.m. wondering if it made a mistake. You do those things, Las Vegas simply waits. On a standard American roulette wheel, there are 38 pockets. 36 are numbered, 2 are green, 0 and 00. If you bet on a single number and win, the casino pays you 35 to 1. But there are 38 possible outcomes. Those 2 extra green pockets represent the entire architecture of casino profitability. They mean the house holds a 5.3% edge on every single spin. You cannot feel it. It is invisible in any individual moment. but compounded over millions of spins, thousands of players, decades of operation, and it becomes something so reliable it can be securitized, sold to investors, used as collateral for billion-dollar construction loans. The slot machines are more direct. The return-to-player percentage is programmed into the machine's software and certified by regulators. A machine set at 92% RTP will, over sufficient plays, return 92 cents of every dollar fed into it. The casino keeps 8 cents. That sounds almost generous until you understand the speed. A single player can make 600 spins per hour. At $5 a spin, that is $3,000 cycled through one machine in 60 minutes. 8% of $3,000 is $240 per hour from one player at one machine. There are thousands of machines on this floor. They never sleep. They run 24 hours a day, every day of the year. The mathematics is not gambling. The mathematics is harvesting. But mathematics alone cannot fill a casino. Pure probability, stated plainly, would empty the floor within a generation. What keeps people here, what keeps you here, is something far older and far more powerful than numbers. It lives in the part of your brain that developed before language, before reason, before you were capable of understanding what a percentage point meant. Psychologist B.F. Skinner demonstrated it with pigeons in the mid-20th century. When a reward comes on a fixed schedule, press the lever, receive the pellet every time. Behavior becomes routine, then boring. But when the reward comes unpredictably, sometimes after one press, sometimes after 300, the behavior becomes obsessive. The animal cannot stop. Skinner called it variable ratio reinforcement. It is the single most powerful behavioral conditioning schedule ever identified. It is also, not coincidentally, the precise mechanism by which every slot machine on this floor operates. The near miss was engineered, 2 matching symbols and a third stopping just short. That outcome is programmed to appear more frequently than pure probability would produce, because researchers found that a near miss activates the brain's reward circuitry almost as intensely as an actual win. Your dopamine system cannot cleanly distinguish between almost and yes. Both feel like an approaching reward. Both say, keep going. The machine is not rewarding you. It is simulating the feeling of approaching reward indefinitely. A horizon that retreats precisely as fast as you walk toward it. The free drink arrives without you asking. Someone noticed your glass was getting low. The cocktail it carries is not an act of hospitality. It is a calculated intervention. Alcohol slows the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for risk assessment, for the voice that says this is enough. 2 drinks, and that voice gets quieter. 3, and it becomes a murmur you can comfortably ignore. The drinks are free because they are not free. They are the cheapest investment the casino makes. The lowest cost per dollar extracted line item in the entire operational budget. The comp system is something more sophisticated. It is a loyalty program dressed in the language of reward, and it works because humans respond to status with an intensity that overrides rational calculation. Your player's card tracks every dollar you cycle through the machines and tables. It translates your losses into points. Those points become meals, shows, hotel room upgrades. The psychological maneuver is precise and brutal. It converts the record of your losses into evidence of your value. You are not someone who has been losing money. You are a valued guest, accumulating benefits. By the time the casino offers you a free night stay for your loyalty, you have almost certainly lost more than that room would have cost anywhere else on Earth. But the room feels like a gift. Las Vegas doesn't need you to lose. It needs you to believe. Above you, Behind panels in the ceiling you will never find, the surveillance room observes everything. Not primarily for cheaters, though it watches for those. It watches for advantage players, people who have learned to count cards, to find thin edges where skill briefly overcomes the house margin. When identified, they are approached politely and asked to leave. The casino does not ban you for losing. It bans you for winning too consistently. The freedom of this floor has a precise boundary. You are free to lose by any method available to you. You are not free to win systematically. Systematic winning destabilizes the system, and the system must be preserved. The 3 a.m. ATM sits near the elevator bank, close enough to the floor that returning to the tables requires only a short walk, not a decision. The man standing there now did not plan to be here. He planned to spend $200, maybe $3. He told his wife, upstairs pretending to sleep, who has stopped asking questions she doesn't want answered, that he was just going to play a little longer. The machine processes his request. The cash comes out. He folds it without counting it, because counting would require acknowledging what the number means, and acknowledgement is the one thing he cannot afford right now. His hands are steadier than you might expect. He has done this before. That steadiness is not composure. It is the calm of someone who has moved past the stage where consequences feel fully real. Down the hallway on the 14th floor, a couple argues in the particular low-voiced way of people who have run out of restraint but not out of pain. The words are about money, but they are not about money. They are about all the other times. About the look on his face at the table that she doesn't recognize and cannot reach. She is in a bathrobe. He still has his shoes on. The hallway is the same cream color as every other hallway in the building. The same muted light that makes 3 a.m. look like a reasonable hour to be standing here, saying things that will take months to repair, if they can be repaired at all. In the elevator, a man rides alone. He checked his banking app 4 minutes ago in the lobby. The number was lower than he thought. Not catastrophically, not emergency level lower, but lower in the way that will be felt on a Tuesday 2 weeks from now when something else comes due. He is not devastated. He is quiet in the specific way of someone running a private calculation, translating what he spent into the equivalent of other things. Hours of work, a car payment, the trip his daughter mentioned wanting to take this summer. The doors close. Las Vegas does not follow him upstairs. It doesn't need to. It has already taken what it came for. This is not a story about addiction, though addiction lives inside it. This is not a morality tale about excess, though excess runs through it like a vein. This is a story about design, about the distance between what a place tells you it is and what it actually is. Las Vegas presents itself as a city of chance, a place where anything might happen, where the ordinary rules of cause and effect take a vacation along with everyone else. But the city itself is not on vacation. The city is working. It has been working every hour of every day for 90 years, refining and perfecting the apparatus that surrounds you right now. The desert outside does not know any of this. The Mojave existed before any of this was here, and will exist long after the last chip has been cashed and the last tower has been swallowed back into the sand. Go 20 miles in any direction and you will find nothing but heat, silence, and the particular indifference of ancient Earth. A landscape so stripped of pretense that the mind goes quiet just looking at it. The stars above the desert are the same stars they have always been. They do not care about the glow on the horizon. They do not register the pink and gold light pollution that makes this city visible from 30,000 feet. The desert simply continues, the way probability continues, the way mathematics continues. Long after the feeling of possibility has faded, and what remains is the clean, cold arithmetic of outcomes. You are standing at the edge of that arithmetic right now. The neon is behind you. The desert is ahead. And somewhere in the space between them is the truth. This city has always known and never needed to advertise. Las Vegas was never built on luck. It was built on inevitability.